What's up, my Beardos and Weirdos? Tonight, we're taking a look at r/NoSleep. Let's take a look at a longer form of a story about a man who took the wrong job. Let's take it one topic at a time. Buried alive. Don't try to save me. If you're just tuning in, I've seemed to have wound up in a bit of a pickle. Buried underneath the Mojave Desert in a steel box wasn't how I saw myself going out, but this life is strange. You sound too relaxed to be buried alive, you might say to yourself. You're probably right, but if anyone should be anxious at what put me here, it should be you. Allow me to use my last moments of life to catch you up on what has happened. As a leg breaker for the mob, I've been on many strange assignments, but none as strange as this one. With a click, the lock was set. Mere seconds before they had shoved me in this box after they beat and broke me. Hard metal bit into my flesh, suspended in the air by steel chains, attached to my wrists. Leather straps with glass shards whipped at my skin. The sound of screams filled the small, dark, dank room. Deep gashes down to the bone released blood at each strike. Clearly I wasn't the only one to have been tortured here, as there were body parts littered along the cement. In flickers of blurred vision, shadows cast by the lamp above me danced on the floor as my torturers shuffled about. Cold salt water continuously showered over me, which caused each cut to cry out in pain. The rush of water was audible as it poured through the drain below me. Fish smells stunk up the place, which added to the intensity of my torment. Monsters 10 feet tall relished in my anguish, their pox-marked skin festered with pus. Long, morbid fingers twisted my head this way and that in an attempt to extract what I might know and who I had told. What detestable creatures these men had turned themselves into, unholy in appearance, all in the name of more power.
I didn't say anything, just that you'd get him his money soon. I cried out.
You expect me to believe that? A raspy voice questioned from out of the void that was beyond my sight.
If you let me go, you'll be fine. Art doesn't want to tell anyone anything. He just wants his money back, I responded. You're making a huge mistake here.
He's useless. Throw him away like the trash he is, commanded the voice.
Now, I'm going to take this time to tell you who Art is. A bald, short, fat slob for one thing. For another, he's one of the largest loan sharks in all of Las Vegas. A made man, he likes to say, as he had come up from the bottom. Sharp, cunning, and ruthless, he'd as soon cut out your tongue as look at you, especially if you owed him money. Yeah, this was my employer. We actually got along nicely, except for his habit of wearing half his meal on his shirt. It was a few months back that Art took a chance and loaned a small group of weirdos some cash. Word on the street was that they were part of some kind of extremist group. Moralistic doesn't describe Art. He had no qualms about what happened with the money he lent, as long as it was paid back with interest. Short, stubby fingers laden with grease wrapped around a burger when he called me into his gaudy office. How that guy could handle a blade the way he did was beyond me. Gold was the central theme to his decorative style, from the carpets to the drapes and everything in between. He said to me,
"Leonard, I got a job for you."
Whenever he used Leonard instead of Lenny, I knew it was going to be trouble.
"I want you to find out why the Burning Sword hasn't made their payments yet,"
he continued. Can't say no to that, man, which is why I'm here. Speaking of which, let me get back to how I wound up in this predicament in the first place. What had led me to that old warehouse where I was beaten and questioned was a series of events that were anything but routine. Information was difficult to come by. Seemed as if this organization was very good at keeping people quiet. To find a way to contact them was all but impossible. It wasn't until weeks later that I was able to hunt down someone known to have been a part of this group. A lead had come by the way of greasing a few palms.
Days it took to find the right time to pick up the guy who might know something. I stalked him, morning, noon, and night. He was a professor at UCLA that specialized in biochemistry. Honestly, this should have been a warning sign. Around 9 p.m., I saw an opportunity as he entered a dark alleyway in the back of his mistress's house. Slowly and methodically, I crept up behind him as I pulled my ski mask down. Underneath the light of a street lamp, right before he could slip the keys into the lock of his car door, my hand shot around his mouth with a rag soaked in chloroform. Sharp elbows flew back towards my head, but his long, lean body, made soft by years of desk work, was no match for my muscle. Lifelessly, he slumped into my arms in a matter of seconds. Little effort was exerted to cram his tall frame into the trunk of my car. Through the cover of night, we drove back to the house where I do most of my work. The boss had bought the place for such a purpose. It was out in the middle of nowhere, almost perfectly between Las Vegas and California. Nothing but cactus and coyotes for neighbors. A wooden chair, some thick rope, and a bright spotlight greeted him when he came to. Initially, he was a tough nut to crack. He didn't say a word until the razor blade came out. "Who do you work for?" I asked as my straight razor slid down one side of his face. I wanted to be sure he was part of the right organization.
"I'm a professor at UCLA.
He replied with eyes wide as sweat beaded on his forehead. "Not what I meant," I continued as the blade now made its way to the other side of his gaunt mug. "I already know about your side job."
"They'll kill me if I tell you,"
the professor replied. Sweat now dripped off his long, pointy nose. "I'll kill you if you don't," was my response. The silver razor gleamed in the light as I began to make my cut. His screams rang through the empty basement and echoed against the concrete walls. "Your old lady and your side piece won't want anything to do with you once I carve you up like a jigsaw puzzle." The blade had only begun to bit into the pliable flesh of his right ear.
All right. Just for the love of God, stop. I'll talk."
Funny what a little pain and the threat of lost pleasure will do to a man.
"They operate out of an old warehouse back in California. Used to be a fish cannery down on the docks."
He then went into more details and gave up the address. Guess he hadn't figured that he would have to die no matter what he said. He had seen me and knew who I worked for. Behind him, in the back of the basement, there was a small cupboard that held guns. As I walked towards it to retrieve a weapon to finish him neatly, a knock on the door could be heard. 2 raps, a long pause, and then another rap.
That's them, man. That's them. I'd know that knock anywhere."
The professor cried out.
"They know you got me. We're both as good as dead."
"I've got this," I told him while I grabbed a pistol.
"You don't understand. They're monsters. I was paid to make them that way. They want to kill everyone. That gun won't work. They want to burn the world and resurrect Muloch."
I had no clue what he was talking about. Last time I checked, there wasn't a man alive that could take a few shots from a .45 and walk away. I ran up the wooden stairs into the unfurnished parlor. Before I even reached the solid oak door, it burst into splinters. On the other side was a presence never before seen by another human being. Not like the monsters I described previously. This one was only roughly the size of an average man in height and stature. No clothes covered the body, and it had no neck at all. It was as if the torso had swallowed its head. Flesh-colored arms covered in bony thorns hung down to the ground and whipped out with a ferociousness. The walls were obliterated by its touch. Dust and wood chips filled the room. With little time to react, my shots rang out in rapid succession, to no effect. Skin as thick as armor covered the nightmare before me. Bullets bounced right off. Back down the stairs I went to grab some heavier firepower. A quick glance to the professor, and it appeared as though he were dead. Eyes wide open and mouth frozen in a voiceless scream. Poor fool must have died in fright as he knew what had come for us. Rapidly my hands picked up a shotgun and some shells. I could hear the thing lumber down to find me. Menacing though it was, mobility was not its strong suit. This gave me time to load the 12-gauge slugs into the gun. When it finally reached the bottom, I was in the far back of the basement, well out of the reach of the club-like arms. "You're one ugly motherfucker!" An ear-shattering blast rang out, amplified by the barren walls. The slug ricocheted off its impenetrable skin, hit a wall, bounced backwards towards me, and narrowly grazed my left arm. With nothing left to do, I ran at the thing, shotgun held high into the air, prepared to hit it with all my might. At the last moment, a thought crossed my mind. Instead of hitting the creature, I threw the gun at it. This stunned the monster long enough for me to get around and go up the stairs. A loud scream of frustration pierced the night as I escaped out of the house and got into my car. Tires screeched from the blacktop as my vehicle peeled out of there. Breaths came in gasps from the recent flight for my life. With one hand I dialed Art on my cell phone and told him everything I knew. He didn't care, however, and threatened to have me killed if I didn't finish the job. "I quit, you fat bastard!" I yelled as I hung up the phone. A few hours later I was back in Las Vegas packing my things, ready to make a long trip away from there. Shirts, pants, some clean underwear were all thrown into a large green suitcase. That's when I heard it. 2 raps on the door, followed by a pause, and then a 3rd rap. An exasperated sigh left my lips. Through a window on the 2nd floor I made my escape. The luggage wouldn't be able to come with me. By the pool in the backyard, a man in a suit and a tie greeted me. His black hair was slicked back. His tall, skeletal figure was outlined by the security lights on the far end of the property. Sunken cheeks on his face cast a long shadow across his sharp jawline. Kind of reminded me of Vincent, what's-his-name, from those old horror flicks.
"Good evening, Mr. Vaughn,"
he said in an accent I couldn't place. He then proceeded to take out a syringe from his pocket. Even in the relative darkness, its contents glowed green. Next, he injected himself in the forearm with whatever it was.
"You are about to witness where your boss's money has gone. Though you will miss the full show, just know what is in store for those that will still be alive when it happens."
Cloth from his suit began to tear rapidly as he increased in size. Boils appeared on any exposed skin. They broke open and released a foul odor. With a demonic voice he said,
"All of humanity is turning their backs on the ancient ways, and this caused Muloch to leave us. These new bodies grant us the ability to wipe out those who have led us astray."
There was a pause in his speech, and the sound of more boils popping could be heard. He then continued,
"A demonstration of millions of human sacrifices to Muloch will show that we are sorry and deserve his forgiveness. Upon his return, he will restore the power we once held as his faithful. Those most faithful will get to rule the rest."
I turned to run, but was grabbed by a pair of thugs. Blackness filled my eyes, and my heart pounded like a jackrabbit. Coarse burlap grated on my head as I struggled to get free. Laughter could be heard from those that surrounded me.
"Take him and find out who he has told. We are not yet ready for any interruptions. After that, kill him slowly, as a silent offering, as prescribed in the sacred texts. He will be the first of many,"
the demon said as I was dragged off. There you have it. Now we're back to where I began and how I ended up in this box buried somewhere in the desert. Got to be near a city somewhere, as I still have cell phone service. No, I'm not going to call the cops. Never liked them much anyways. Besides, by the time they find me and dig me up, I'll be dead already. Guess I'm so calm right now because I know that my fate is better than whatever is in store for those that are alive. Although there might be a chance for you. They were too dumb to search me before they buried me. Figure that's why I still have my phone. Perhaps that serum makes them stupid in exchange for their ungodly abilities. That could be your only ray of hope. The way I see it, though, it's better to die here in peace than to live with the nightmare that's on its way. Muloch, whatever that is probably coming soon. If his goons are any indication, I don't think things are going to be a utopia of peace and love. Nope.
I'm just going to post this and hope someone believes what I have to say. Perhaps it'll give them a head start to get ready for what is to come. Good luck. You're going to need it. Thanks for joining along while we tried something new. That was r/NoSleep. Let me know below if these longer form stories are what you like to listen to. I'll see you in the next video, and as always, we'll take it one topic at a time.